Niccolo Machiavelli, a name that echoes through history with whispers of cunning, manipulation, and ruthless power. To many, he is the puppet master behind the throne, the cold strategist who taught princes to rule with an iron fist and a velvet glove. But beyond the caricature lies a philosopher, a realist, who understood the unchanging nature of human ambition, perception, and influence. Born in Renaissance Florence in 1469, Machiavelli lived in a time of turbulence, political betrayal, foreign invasions and shifting alliances. He was no idle thinker. He was a civil servant, a diplomat, a man in the trenches of power. And in his most infamous work, The Prince, he distilled what he learned from observing rulers rise and fall. That power, above all, is perception. Machiavelli didn't write fairy tales. He wrote survival guides, and while his teachings have often been condemned as Machiavellian, synonymous with deceit and manipulation, they are, at their core, brutally honest reflections of human nature. But what if we removed the crown and placed his lessons in the modern world, not for kings or conquerors, but for you? Today, power no longer lies in thrones or armies. It lives in influence, visibility, and the attention economy. Your personal brand is your principality. Your reputation is your capital, and your social media presence, your battlefield. Machiavelli may not have predicted Twitter or TikTok, but his principles still hold. They teach us how to craft image, control narrative, build alliances, and leave a legacy, not by faking who we are, but by understanding how the world sees us. Because in a digital world saturated with noise, visibility is no longer optional, it is survival. So if you've ever wondered how to rise above the chaos and build a personal brand that endures, that commands respect, and that leaves an indelible mark, Machiavelli has something to teach you. But be warned, his lessons are not for the faint-hearted. They require clarity, courage, and a touch of cunning. Welcome to Machiavelli's lessons for building a personal brand. Machiavelli had a word for the magnetic force that separated rulers from the ruled: virtu, not to be confused with virtue. In the moral sense, virtu was a combination of strength, decisiveness, courage, and intelligence. It was the quality of shaping your destiny rather than being shaped by fate. For Machiavelli, those who possessed virtu could bend circumstances to their will and command loyalty by design, not chance. In today's world, virtue lives in the strength of your personal narrative, your online presence, your voice, your values, your perceived competence. And perception, as Machiavelli knew, is everything. It is not necessary to be good, only to appear so. Niccolo Machiavelli, the Prince now. Before that quote unsettles you, remember, this isn't a call to deception, it's a call to strategic authenticity. In a digital landscape, we're judged in seconds. People don't engage with complexity, they engage with clarity. So you must decide, what do you stand for? What impression do you want to leave? Because if you don't define your image, others will do it for you. This is where Machiavelli's insight becomes gold. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be perceived as valuable. This means highlighting your strengths with intention, positioning your skills where they are most visible, controlling your narrative so it reflects both authenticity and ambition. Think of your personal brand as armor. It doesn't hide who you are, it protects who you are while amplifying what matters most. Showcase your expertise, but also your journey. Curate your social media, not to impress, but to communicate value. Build a profile that shows consistency, clarity, and confidence. Speak not to everyone, but to those who matter most to your goals, just as Machiavelli advised rulers to appear merciful, faithful, and sincere. Even if they had to bend these traits in private, you too must understand the power of selective visibility. It's not dishonesty, it's emphasis. We live in a world where attention is currency. If you want influence, you must be seen as significant. So don't leave your brand to chance. Build it with intent. That is the art of perception, and Machiavelli's first lesson in the game of influence. Machiavelli understood that power is rarely seized alone. Influence, he knew, was often the result of alliances, carefully crafted partnerships that extended one's reach, reinforced one's position, and deterred enemies. He warned rulers to be wary of those who claimed friendship but served no strategic value, and encouraged alliances that were mutually beneficial even if temporary. His advice? Align yourself with the strong, the useful, the influential, and never form ties out of sentiment alone. Now translate that to today's digital arena. In the realm of personal branding, networking isn't about collecting contacts. It's about cultivating influence. You are the sum of your associations. Who you follow, who follows you, who shares your content, who collaborates with you, all of it sends a message. A message that either elevates your authority or buries your voice in the noise. So how do you form strategic alliances in the age of social media? Start by asking yourself, who in your space holds the kind of influence you aspire to, whose values align with yours, whose audience would benefit from your message? Machiavelli would advise you to approach such figures not as a fan, but as a peer. In the making, offer value before asking for support, promote their work, engage meaningfully. Create content that complements their message, not competes with it. And just as importantly, understand that perceived association is often as powerful as real collaboration. Even an insightful comment, a thoughtful reply, or a strategic repost can begin to build rapport and visibility. But Machiavelli would also issue a warning. A wise man ought always to follow the paths beaten by great men and to imitate those who have been supreme. Niccolo Machiavelli. The prince, align yourself with excellence, and you will be seen as excellent. Align yourself with mediocrity, and your brand will decay by association. In a world of algorithmic hierarchies and attention-based ecosystems, who you know can fast-track who you become. So don't network aimlessly. Build alliances with intention, not just to gain, but to grow. That is the second pillar of Machiavellian branding. Strategic connection. Machiavelli's third great lesson is this. Power depends on your ability to read people better than they read you. In The Prince, Machiavelli constantly stressed the importance of understanding the motivations of others, not to empathize, but to anticipate, to stay one step ahead, to master the terrain of human behavior like a general reads the battlefield. Today, that battlefield is your audience, their behavior, their beliefs, their biases, and in the realm of personal branding, who you speak to is just as important as what you say. You can't create meaningful impact by shouting into the void. You must know your audience. What are they afraid of? What do they desire? What language do they respond to? What values move them? Because the truth is this, people don't follow the most qualified voice. They follow the voice that makes them feel understood. Machiavelli didn't suggest changing your core values to fit the public. But he did advise tailoring your message to the moment, to speak in ways that inspire loyalty and confidence. He wrote, "A prince ought to be more feared than loved, if he cannot be both." Niccolo Machiavelli, the prince in branding. Terms, this means command respect before you seek approval. Earn trust through clarity, consistency, and confidence. And then, speak directly to the audience that matters most to your mission. You don't need millions of followers, you need the right followers. Those who resonate deeply with what you offer. Those who amplify your signal. To do this, study analytics like Machiavelli studied political rivals. Observe which content earns engagement, which stories spark reaction. Test, refine, adapt. Not your integrity, but your delivery. Know when to be bold, when to be vulnerable, when to be provocative. Because timing and tone are weapons in the Machiavellian toolkit. Ultimately, your audience is not a passive crowd. They are active players in your story. Treat them as such. Understand them, anticipate them, respect them, and you will win them. This is how you master the game, not with louder noise, but with deeper insight. Machiavelli was not just concerned with how power is won, he was obsessed with how it is remembered. He studied men who shaped history not for their titles, but for their impact. Those who understood that leadership is fleeting, but legacy endures. And if there's one truth that bridges the gap between Renaissance courts and modern digital spaces, it's this: all men desire to leave behind them a lasting reputation. Niccolò Machiavelli, your personal brand is more than a marketing tactic. It is your digital footprint, your reputation, your mark on the world. And the question is not whether people will remember you, it's what they will remember you for. Building a lasting legacy means making your brand about more than just visibility. It means anchoring your presence in purpose, creating value that outlives the algorithm, telling stories that resonate beyond the scroll. Ask yourself, what impact do I want to leave behind? What principles define my work, my message, my mission? If my platform disappeared tomorrow, what would still carry my name forward? Legacy isn't about trending, it's about transcending. In Machiavelli's world, rulers were judged by what they built, not by how loudly they spoke. In your world, the same is true. It's not your follower count that defines you, it's what you do with their attention. So, publish ideas that educate, challenge, or inspire. Support causes that align with your values. Collaborate with purpose, not just convenience, and above all, treat your personal brand not as a mask, but as a mirror, a reflection of your best work, your boldest ideas, your most refined self. That is how you build a reputation that outlives trends. That is how you leave your mark. As Machiavelli's own legacy proves, whether loved or loathed, understood or misunderstood, a voice with clarity is never forgotten, and yours won't be either if you build it with intention. We began with a question: what can a 16th century political strategist teach us about personal branding in the digital age? And now we have the answer. Machiavelli's lessons are not relics of a ruthless past. They are tools, sharp, enduring, powerful, for anyone bold enough to shape how the world sees them. Let's revisit what you've learned. Perception is power. Your public image is not a byproduct of who you are. It is a strategic expression of your value. Define it before others do. Connections are currency. Align with those who elevate your message. Build alliances rooted in mutual gain and shared vision. Understanding is your edge. Know your audience with surgical precision. Speak their language, meet their needs, and anticipate their desires. Legacy is everything. Create content, conversations, and contributions that outlast the noise. Build something worth remembering, and most importantly, don't fear the Machiavellian label. Reclaim it. It does not mean deception. It means mastery. It means knowing the rules of the game and playing it with strategy, confidence, and conscience. Because, in a world where anyone can post but few can influence, those who understand Machiavelli will not merely compete, they will dominate. So take control of your narrative. Sculpt your brand with intent. Use perception, alliances, understanding, and legacy as your 4 pillars. Build something undeniable. And when the world asks how you rose, let them wonder whether it was luck, fate, or brilliance. Because as Machiavelli would say, they never need to know the whole truth, just that you were meant to lead. Your brand is your kingdom. Rule it wisely, shape it boldly, defend it fiercely. This is the art of power. This is the Machiavellian way. See you in the next video.